Hey, good evening. Welcome to CentralValleyTalk.com. And my name is Pastor Shawn Beaty. I'm the senior pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church in Clovis, California. This is it's the Shawn Beaty Show. And I'm going to try this talk show. We're going to see how it's going to work. And I've never done anything like this before, so have some grace with me. But we're doing a pilot. This is our first episode tonight. And tell you a little bit about Clovis Hills first is, we're a church out on that north side of Fresno, Clovis, out by Clovis North High School across the street on Willow. And, we have 3 services right now. We have a service at Saturday night at 6 o'clock. We have 2 Sunday morning services, one at 9, one at 10:40. We have children's, youth, all programs from birth all the way to death at our church. It's really a multi-generational, multi-ethnic church. We also, this Sunday, will be beginning some services in Espanol at our 10:40 service. We have a secondary venue, and we'll be having a service in Espanol. That's Spanish, for those of you that don't speak Espanol. And so anyways, it's going to be awesome. I encourage you, if you want to find out more about Clovis Hills, go to our website, www.clovishills.com, and you can check that out. Or, maybe you're the super techie and, you don't go to church. I would encourage you. You also can still be part of our community. You can download the Clovis Hills app on iTunes or your Google Play store, and on there, you can listen to the sermon every week. You can get involved in the Bible studies. You can learn about church events, things like that, and it's a really cool way to connect. And we have people from all over the country, all over the world, that are connected through our online community. So I encourage you to do that. My guest tonight is Miss Toni Odonnell. And one of my favorite people. She is someone you don't meet, you experience. Toni. She's a force of nature, and it's a lot of fun. So welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Thanks,
yeah,
Shawn.
good. Are you nervous?
A little bit, but I mean, how can you mess up your story?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No.
So I thought, one of the cool things we could do is I could just bring on people I think that have an interesting story and have them tell their story. So you're an amazing person. You do a lot of amazing things in this world. We'll get to really kind of the neat ways that God has used you in your life. But I think in order to fully understand how powerful it is to hear your whole story.
Right. And
you weren't always this godly woman. You have a history. We all have a past.
Yeah.
And you have a past before Christ. And I thought maybe tell us really what your life was like before you became a follower of Jesus.
Okay, well, kind of in a nutshell, I wasn't raised in a godly home at all, and I actually had an experience in high school. Some really good people came around me in high school, and that's when Campus Life and Youth for Christ were so big, and they loved me enough to talk to me about and tell me about having a personal relationship with Jesus. I had never heard that before, Shawn. It was like you could know that his characteristic was that you could know him personally. And so I went to a couple of events, and I realized back then, my very dysfunctional family, and I knew that that's the piece that was missing from our household. There were a lot of secrets in our house. It could be very dark. And man, that was appealing, and I accepted Christ with everything I had, and it was something I wanted to bring in my home, and I did it with a vengeance. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that my family needed that. And so just briefly, for a brief period of time in high school, I brought Christ in and went after my family, and my 2 sisters accepted Christ. My mom rededicated her life. She joined Bible Study Fellowship. We all got baptized together, and it was a real deal. Then a few years later, some trauma really hit our family hard, and man, I didn't dig in. It's like the gospel talks about, the seed being snatched. I sort of just turned. I didn't deal with it very well. I started going after what the world has to offer to fill up that hole. And we know how those things turn out. I started making a ton of really bad decisions. And I started making decisions that were going to have some really long-term bad, consequences to them. And kind of in my 20s, I got married, divorced, a couple times. I had a couple of kids. And quite frankly, the whole time that I was making these choices, God was right there. And I knew that what I was doing was, it was killing me. Mm-hmm. The shame was killing me, and I would try to get back in, and it just didn't last, and there was no real commitment there. And by the time I was 30 years old, the shame of looking at my life, like I literally in high school, I wanted to live in Jerusalem in a kibbutz, and I wanted to be a missionary. That was what I wanted to do at 17, and here I am 30, and I've got 2 failed marriages, and what happened? It's like boom, mm-hmm. And I couldn't face it. It was like it was just too much for me. And I instead of making an about face, I started drinking a little bit, and pretty soon got myself into a really big problem. And before I knew it, I was an alcoholic. And so my entire this many years of period was, and I actually met my husband during this, and we call him St. Patrick because he married me. But I know, poor guy, man, he married me and all of that stuff, and he took that on, and he, we got married very crippled.
So third marriage. You're practicing alcoholic.
Oh yeah, just starting my alcoholic career, getting married for the 3rd time, 2 sons with 2 different dads. Gotta lay it out, and met really just a wonderful man, and he must have seen something. But
that having always sensing that God was right there, and there's a sense of shame, but like the one thing I always remind people is, like God was never mad at you. He was just waiting for you.
He was never mad at me, and but there is one thing. I never ever had anything inside me that felt like God was to blame for everything. I always took it. I knew it was me. Yeah. It wasn't the Lord. I knew the feeling of having tasted and seen that the Lord was good.
Yeah.
And he came in, and he did an incredible work in my family when up against the evil that I didn't even know was there. Mm-hmm. And then, so something took. There was a seed there that could not go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really, I always like in stories like yours. You were the prodigal daughter.
Oh, totally.
Right. You were never not a child of God because you accepted Christ. Yeah. You were just out
totally prodigal,
spending your inheritance or his inheritance, however you want to call it. And so you
start eating those pods.
Yeah, the Bible talks about how he spent the whole inheritance, and he's feeding the pigs with these pods that they feed the pigs, and he wanted to eat them. Because he was so poor and he was so destitute now, he had spent everything, and a Jewish man longing to eat pig food, which is a crazy thought. And he thought, how can I be longing for pig's food when my father's servants are back home eating? I'll go home and just be a servant. Yeah. And I can't ever be a son again. He didn't think he was worthy of being a son. But he says, I'll go home and be a servant. Yeah. And I'll just be my dad's slave, and that's better than feeding these pigs and being destitute and homeless. Yeah. And he began that long walk home. And I want to talk about your walk home in the next segment. But I want to encourage you guys, as we kind of continue through this, we're going to take breaks for commercials and things like that. But stay with us, because you're going to hear about Toni's long walk home. Again, this is the Shawn Beaty Show with a ministry of Clovis Hills Community Church. I encourage you to go to our website, www.clovishills.com. Check us out on Facebook as well, or Instagram or Twitter, and begin to follow us there. And so we're going to turn it over to the commercials. We'll take a break, and we'll be back. We'll talk about your long walk home, just like the prodigal.
Okay, cool.
CentralValleyTalk.com
Hey, we're back, and I'm Shawn Beaty. This is Toni Odonnell, my guest. And hey, I want to remind you, some of the stuff coming up at Clovis Hills in the next week or so. We actually have 3 really cool things happening in the weekend coming up. We have a men's range day. The men are going to be showing up at a shooting range and shooting stuff and eating tri-tip. It's going to be awesome. At the same time, the women's are going to be having a brunch and a time together as well, and they'll do women things and men will shoot things and eat meat. And it's kind of stereotypical, I know, but that's what we're doing. And then on Sunday, though, we're actually having a Clovis Hills Day at Grizzly Stadium, and we're taking out a section of Grizzly Stadium. And we're doing it with our sister church, North Point Church, so there'll be a bunch of us there. We encourage you guys to come. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet people as well. Come to our services this weekend. We have a 6 o'clock on Saturday, a 9 and a 10:40. It'll be awesome. But I'm here with Toni, and she just shared really her story about how she had accepted Christ as a teenager and really kind of had a prodigal son or a prodigal daughter. Period, from in her 20s and her 30s, and married and divorced twice, married a third time, alcoholic, and all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
So you're there,
yeah,
and I'm assuming life felt pretty heavy at that point.
Yeah.
So how did you? And we talked about, the prodigal son had to at some point come to a point and go,
okay,
I got to go back to my father.
Yeah.
Even if I don't deserve to be called a son, but I still got to go back to my father. I'll at least be one of his slaves. And he took that long walk home. He probably practiced the speech to his dad, Father, I'm not worthy to be called your son. Only let me be a servant. Whatever it was, the speech he was practicing. But it was a long walk home for him with his tail between his legs.
Yeah.
And he felt shame, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So for you, what was that? How did you get to that point? What brought you there, and what was the walk home like?
Let's see. So, when I married my husband, and of course another big, it was a very big traumatic year, and I really kind of I kind of say that I dove into the bottle, and because I couldn't cope with the things that were going on, and admittedly there was some pretty heavy stuff going on in our family, but that was my method. That's what I chose to cope with it, and so I have these 2 boys and this new husband, and
wait, what was your job at the time? Do you remember? Did you work then?
No, I don't think.
Oh, you were staying home.
Yeah, I was staying home.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I did have a job later though.
Okay.
This is part of the cool story. But
yeah.
Anyway, no, I was kind of a stay-at-home probably because I just couldn't do it. But anyway, so I crippled along for when 91 was bad. That's when I got married, and I really took a nosedive. And I got sober at 99. So you got 8 years. My first 8 years married to my husband, the worst time of my life. And I knew.
Maybe his too.
Oh,
right?
Oh yeah, yeah. He is the cleanup crew, man.
Yeah.
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 He learned how to watch my back. See, poor guy. Yeah, tough time. And anyway, so creeping along, trying to do life like that. And I wasn't a falling down drunk. I mean, I didn't smoke cigarettes, and I was in a bathrobe burning holes in it all day long. I mean, it wasn't like that. But it was you're absent no matter what, because that's your method. Whether you drink at night when everybody's asleep, you're still numbing out. But I went like that, and it progressively got worse and worse, like alcoholism does. It does not get better. And everybody knew in the family, and nobody wanted to have anything to do with me. I really was the black sheep. Everybody left me alone. They didn't know what to say to me. I went into a rehab about 95 just to get the heat off. It wasn't the real deal. It just looked good. Didn't work. And then in 99, my grandmother that I loved dearly was turning 90, and they were having a huge party for her. And that's a true story. I went to this party, and I, kind of hit a bottle in my car, and I kind of would run back and forth because I didn't have any relationship to speak of with my family, but I needed to be fortified to be around them. That's all I can even say about it. It was such a sad thing, really. And they knew what I was doing, and as people who drink, we all think nobody can see us, and they always do.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked in they were doing the dishes after the party was over. I walked in the kitchen, and my mom and my 2 sisters were standing at the kitchen together, and they turned around and they looked at me, and I'll never forget the look on their face. They looked at me like I was a piece of dirt, really. You know, they did. They looked at me like that. They looked at me, and I knew they were talking about me. And I looked at them, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's how they see me. And seriously, Shawn, I brought Christ into my home and led these people to the Lord. Yeah. Can you imagine that moment?
Yeah.
I walked out, and you know what it did? It made me angry. It made me mad at them and at everything. And I got in my car. Of course, I drove. And I remember driving home thinking, you know what, God, what is this? I don't even get this. What is this? And clearly, I heard him say, do something.
Wow.
Do something. You don't like it, do something. So I went home, and I picked up the phone, and I knew this girl who'd been going into recovery for about a year, and I called her, and I go, I need help, man. She goes, I'm on it. She took me in a meeting on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 1999, and I never had a drink since then.
Wow. Do something.
Do something.
You know, this last weekend in my Mother's Day message, I talked about how in the book of Samuel, you know, Hannah, in Samuel 1:9, it says that Hannah arose. And that Hebrew word for arose doesn't just mean get up. It means to take action, to do something, right? Yeah. In the Message translation of the Bible, it says, Hannah pulled herself together. That's really like the kind of moment you had.
I had that moment.
You pulled yourself together, you know, and finally did something about it.
I couldn't do it anymore. And, that, do something. And, you know, it was a beginning of a journey. My whole life is still the same. Everything I do is kind of challenging and creates a little anxiety, but I made a deal, man. I made a deal. That day I went in to a meeting, and I when I left, I thought, okay, I know this can be done. I will do this. I will chase after, as long as you have my back, I'm going to chase after you harder than I chased after alcohol. And that was pretty hard, man. I would make that work, no matter, I got creative. But that was not a small thing for me to say, I'm going to chase you harder. That was going to be a hard chase.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I know this sounds martyrish-like, but every once in a while, I think of, you remember when Paul had his Damascus moment, and Ananias didn't want to heal him. It's like, hey, you know, that guy, he's persecuting us, and I have to go, you know, give him his sight. And God said, don't worry, I'm going to make him realize what he's going to have to suffer, you know, for following me. Sometimes I feel like when I get in my low moments, God says, you know what, it's just, this is the process. You just got to trust me, you know. I didn't promise you ease, but I promised you health.
Yeah.
And so we have this deal. I have, you know, my deal with God, and so I never say no, like coming on this show. You know what I mean? Sucker. But, you know.
Well, I always find in people's lives, for real change to happen, right? Yeah. And as a pastor, I see it happen all the time. I see people that want to change and can't. I see people that they think they want to change, and really change is just a good idea to them at that point, and they're not really going to do something. Right? But then there's people that actually step into change. They pull themselves together. They do something. And that usually happens in a person's life when there's trial or trauma or a great transition. Right. And those are like the 3 kind of catalysts that drive people to change. So, we're going to take another break, and we'll come back, and we're going to talk about that change. And now we know, the moment that happened for you. But I want to hear about the process and what God's done since in your life, because I know the story. I know how, up to today, and that's the cool part. So you don't want to miss this. This is the Shawn Beaty Show, and pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church, www.clovishills.com. And hang on, watch these commercials, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, we're back with the Shawn Beaty Show. I'm going to be honest, I feel like we're on Wayne's World. I don't know why, but there's a green screen behind me, and you're my Garth, I guess. I don't know. But we're here, and we're doing this. And, I'm Pastor Shawn Beaty, pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church. I want to encourage you, come check out Clovis Hills. It is a great church full of real people. Religious folk tend to be... they don't like our church, to be honest, because we get real. We realize I'm a sinner. I've got a past, but I also have a present that I need God's grace every day. And we have a value called open acceptance at Clovis Hills, where we don't really care where you came from and who you've been. We believe that God has a future for you, and that's really what we care about. And so we get people from all walks. You get a guy who's a physician, and he's making lots of money and seems like he has it all together, but he's struggling with an addiction. Yeah. And in the same row, you'll look over and there's a dude with a teardrop tattoo on his face, and he's all thugged out, and he's been locked up, and It's a beautiful picture sometimes, because you'll say, hey, turn and greet your neighbor, and you'll see two guys like that hug, and they're brothers. And that's the kind of church we are. We're a large church, but I encourage you to come, though. We've got 3 services, Saturday night at 6 o'clock, 2 on Sunday, 9 and 10:40. We also have a service in Spanish at 10:40. If you know people that habla español, that is an awesome new thing that's happening at Clovis Hills. But I have Toni Odonnell with me, and we've just been going over her story about how she came to Christ and really spent a good 20 years, yeah, walking away from God into just a lot of pain in her life. Yep. And at this point, you've come to realize you're an alcoholic, and you had been one for about, 9 years? Yeah, about 9 years. About 9 years, yeah. And all the baggage that comes with that. Oh, yeah. And on Cinco de Mayo, you heard God, Cinco no Drinko, you heard God's voice say, why don't you do something? So you went to this AA meeting with a friend, and we were just talking about change and how people change. And usually what I find as a pastor is that people don't really change until there's a trial, a trauma, or large transition in their life. Up until then, they may want to change, but it's kind of like it's more a good idea. Yeah. I always use the analogy that I want washboard abs, but not really. Because if I wanted washboard abs, I'd actually eat right and do sit-ups, and I don't. So having washboard abs is just a good idea for now. And one day, if I really want them, I'll go do it. It's the same way with change, I always see. So when you see change in your life and in other people's lives, how do you see that coming about?
Gosh, it probably depends on the situation, but you're right. The most dramatic change that I've seen, the most successful change, is honestly getting everything blown up or burned down, or having that moment where everything gets taken away and your scorecards are at 0. Then that's pretty serious. Where it's do or die. And I mean, like with my son, and I have total permission from him, but he and his wife had a drug problem, and they lost their kids to us for a while. They're fantastic parents now. Yeah. I mean, you're part of that story, by the way. It took some blowing up. Yeah, it took. It just, they just weren't listening. My life, God had to bring me all the way down to 0 without letting me be crushed. And I'm sure people prayed. Let her hit bottom. I've prayed this for a lot of people. Let them hit bottom without taking them home. Yeah. So that, you know what I mean? But then other people, I think fear. So just like a regular, just change. All right, you want to lose weight, say, or what. But real change that needs to happen. And health also, it's a big issue, and people struggle with that. I help people that have weight issues because they know that I've overcome a hard thing. And it's, it's I think a lot of changes, you get comfortable. no matter it's bad for you or not, but what you're doing, it tends to be comfortable to you, and it's working somewhere. Even though you know it's wrong and you hate it, there's such a fear of the unknown and stepping out. That's what I see a lot of that. Until you step out, God can't meet the fear. He can't knock the fear out, but you have to take the step out. Like when he healed the lame man on the mat, and you did a sermon on this, and it was like, okay, get up and walk. Well, if he hadn't gotten up and walked, he wouldn't know he could walk.
Yeah.
But he had to get up and carry his mat.
It's almost like we're holding on to our sin. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I do this. I hold on to my sin because it's what I know.
It's what you know.
And I don't want to let go of it because I'll lose it. And God is saying, if you just let go, I have something so much better for you to hold on to.
Right.
But I'm so scared because all I know is I've held this my whole life.
Oh, yeah.
And God's saying, no, but I have this for you.
But you don't know. And so it's the fear, and it's like, oh. And you see it, and I agonize over that because it's like, come on, man. Because I'm kind of a bold person. I've learned to be bold. And it's like, God has met me. I've taken so many steps out in leaps of faith. I know you have. God, I don't even know what I'm doing, and I just go, all right, you know what, Lord, this is to glorify you, and I'm stepping out, and you got to catch me, man. Nothing stupid, just if he's opened the door. Yeah. I walked through it, and every time he's there.
Yeah, well, it's like starting an internet radio, TV, whatever this is, talk show. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, but the opportunity happened. I said, let's step into it. Let's see what God does.
Yeah, I know what the fear is like. I've had it. And everybody's got baggage, and everybody, I think also, people are so afraid to show who they are. Mm-hmm. They're so afraid that they're going to be judged, or they need to look pretty. Getting back to church for me was tough because it was like, well, what are people going to think of me? It took me a long time to realize Jesus is attracted to people like me. That's why he died. Mm-hmm. He didn't die for people who were healthy. He died for people who were sick. He's attracted to people like me, and that are all messed up. Uh-huh. I mean, it's like, wow. That kind of love is hard to explain, but I don't know. I don't even know if that makes sense or not. But that's I don't know.
So now you're on your journey back, right? So you go into AA, and I always find it interesting, because in the line of work I'm in, pastors, some of them really they diss Alcoholics Anonymous, and I just don't understand that, because I just see it as being, whether it's a secular program or not, it has so many Christian principles in it, and it helps people get sober. And a lot of times, if they have Christ planted in them as a child, when it's time to find your higher power, that's right, they go right back home to God. Yeah. And it's such a great instrument to bring people back. So you go into AA, and so tell us the story from there.
Okay, so it's based on Christian principles. And if you go into anything Christian now from, it's been 18 years, everything's based off of that, really. I mean, everything we do is, it's some form of the 12 steps. Yeah. So I go in there, and I needed, it's a program that is tough. Mm-hmm. And I don't need somebody putting their arms around me and going, I'm so sorry that you went through that. And then they didn't do, they had people get in my face and tell me, quit lying. And I needed that. I had to have that. That worked for me.
Well, the nature of shame is to hide. And really lie to and to lie to yourself even. Oh yeah. To be like, no, I'm okay. It's fine. Yeah. And you need someone in your life to go to pull the sheets off you, really.
Totally, and say, oh, you think you're the only one? Oh, come on. Get a clue. I can do you way better than that. I've got 10 more stories, 10 times worse than that.
Yeah, and I always find anyone who's been in AA or Celebrate Recovery that's been through the 12 steps, when they see an addict, when they see someone struggling, they just can sniff it out in 2 minutes.
Yeah. And you kind of, I know, we're probably kind of thought of as tough. But you know what the thing is, Yeah. And there's a way
and you know what needs to happen for them to change.
And it's just, it's based on love, really. Yeah. But it's tough. And so it took me a couple of years. I went to a meeting every single day for a solid year. I didn't miss a day. I was 365 meetings in a row.
Wow.
And then from there, and then I did it, did everything I was supposed to do. And about 2 years into that, I really didn't think, I didn't know about going back to church, but actually I read Purpose Driven Life. And
by Rick Warren.
By Rick Warren, and I think it's the 5th section. It's been a long time, but he talks about how important corporate worship is, and honestly, it convicted me. It did, and so not convicted in a bad way. It didn't make me feel guilty. It convicted me, like, you know what? You got to take what you've learned out, and you need to start. You need to go where God is glorified. You need to start doing something more.
Conviction. Let's rest on that for a minute, because conviction. A lot of times we think, like, people associate being convicted with guilt. Yeah. But really, that's not what God does. God doesn't heap guilt on people. That's what typically religion and churches do, and that's our bad. God convicts us of our sin, and conviction is different. Conviction is what happened when you heard God say, then do something. Yeah. Conviction isn't a bad feeling. It's more of a move to, no, it's time to do something. Yeah. So you read that section on corporate worship, and you felt like, I got to do something.
I knew
that's conviction.
Yeah. God was telling me, this is important to me. You need it to be important to you.
Yeah.
And so somebody said, hey, there's a church, Clovis Hills. And so this was like 2001. Is a church meeting over here at Alta Sierra, and I heard the pastor speak, Steve Davidson, and he speaks our language. And he was dealing with issues with his son, and I went, sat way in the back row, and he was talking about dealing with his son's addiction, and I thought, wow, they're really bringing it in to church. And it made me, I thought, yeah, I could stay here, I could be here, I feel like this is okay for me. And then it just kind of took off from there. Yeah, and then I kind of hit and miss for a couple of years, and then I really got committed, probably about 14, 15 years ago, so going maybe 16 years, and then really decided I could be all in. Yeah. And
that is, Steve Davidson is my predecessor. He's the founding pastor at Clovis Hills and a mentor of mine. And that's one of the cool things that he really brought to the culture of this church, is that we really can talk about anything. Yeah. And shame and guilt is something that we're just allergic to. Yeah. At Clovis Hills, and we are. And that's a value that Steve brought, and really I came and just felt the moment I got there, I felt it and said, this is right. Yeah. This is, and every church has its problems, and our church is not perfect, trust me. But that's one thing about Clovis Hills, that it's right. That we don't operate by guilt and shame, and we're able to, we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take the gospel seriously, because it changes lives. Totally. And when it comes to like the 12 steps and things like that, like we have a Celebrate Recovery at Clovis Hills. Yeah. They meet every Tuesday night, and that's an incredible program where people's lives are being changed and healed. Yep. I'm actually in a group called CPR, and it's Celebrate Pastors Recovery, where I meet with other pastors, and we go through the 12 steps together. And I don't have an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction, but I'm codependent, and that's probably why I got into ministry. And being a pastor of a large church and being codependent, like that will destroy you. Totally. Because you just want to make everyone happy, and so many people want a piece of you. So I finally got sick and tired of running myself ragged and said, I need to go back. I had been through the 12 steps for it years ago, and I just said, I need to go back to that. I need to be in community with other guys that can hold me accountable. And there's something really powerful about those 12 steps, and I always see them as like kind of a blueprint for change. And you don't have to be an addict. Like those things will really drive you to whatever change you need in your life.
They are powerful.
Yeah.
And and to recap, when I got sober and started this thing, I had a blown-up marriage. I had 2 dysfunctional, poor sons. I had no family. Really, my husband and I didn't really know each other anymore. Poor guy, and so I started from that base level, and I knew and this got spoken to me. This is the time you need to be selfish enough for one thing, your recovery. Get well. Yeah. Because you got a lot of work to do, man. Yeah. I had a whole family that I had to and I'm not going to say fix, but I had a whole family. I had to come along beside and pour into what I didn't pour into before.
Yeah.
That's a mountain right there.
Yeah, so
That's a mountain.
we're going to take another break, and we're going to hear about what some of that and what really some of the incredible things that God's done in your life. Like, just they're miraculous. I mean, they're so cool. We're going to come back to those, but this is the Shawn Beaty Show, pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church. And I encourage you to check out our website, www.clovishills.com. Download our app, the Clovis Hills app, in your Android or iTunes store. And we're going to head off to some commercials, and we'll be right back to hear just the fantastic things God's done in your life recently.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, we're back, and I'm here with Toni Odonnell. My name is Shawn Beaty. I'm the pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church. And man, just some great things happening at Clovis Hills over the next month. One of the things on Memorial Day, we actually have an event that'll happen on Monday, Memorial Day, May 30th, called Carry the Load. And it's really cool. It's a 10K walk, and we walk, there'll be a couple hundred of us. We'll walk from the Clovis Hills campus to Buchanan High School. And we raise the flags there. There'll be a band there. They'll play taps. We'll remember the 8 fallen guys that lost their life in the War on Terror from Clovis Unified School District. I think they're all from Buchanan.
Most of them.
Mm-hmm. And then we will walk back. So it's 5K there, 5K back. And there's a free pancake breakfast that's put on by our men's ministry for anyone. And it is an awesome event. Kids, families, grandparents, they all come and do it. So I encourage you, come to our Carry the Load event. It's going to be really cool. And again, our services are Saturday nights at 6, 9 on Sunday, and 10:40 a.m. And we have programs for birth all the way to senior citizens. So I encourage you to check it out. But I'm here with Toni Odonnell. And we've just been talking about her journey from becoming a follower of Jesus to her prodigal years and alcoholism, and then coming back. And so you started coming back, and you started coming to Clovis Hills, and you've been coming to Clovis Hills for about 16 years.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in your time coming to church, you went from being someone who just kind of was consuming God and His Word.
Yeah.
To communing with God and His Word, and then becoming a doer. That whole theme of do something really actually kind of goes with you. In James chapter 1.
I'm a James girl, that's what I call myself.
Yeah, in James chapter 1 it says, don't be merely hearers of the word, but be doers. And at a certain point in your life as a Christian, it's time to get up and do. And you started doing some stuff. And why don't you tell people about how you started going, because you go to India and you have a ministry in India, and really you're a missionary. You're there, sometimes 3-4 months a year. And it's like you're home away from home. Tell us how that got started and really what you're doing there.
Okay, so briefly, I spent probably 8 really hard years pouring back into my family and doing what I needed to do. And recovery is a service-oriented program, but I'm a service-oriented girl. I mean, I'm very comfortable serving others anyway, so it's kind of a good fit for me. That's when at Clovis Hills, I did, like you said, got to a point where I needed to give back, so I just started, volunteering for things and getting to meet people and being invited to, just Bible studies and retreats, and got a mentor, and went through the Timothy program, which is wonderful, and then becoming a Paul and taking my own Timothy's, just on and on and on. And then finally, I felt like I needed to go further than that. And what I think it was, Shawn, I think it was because in my heart, when I started this thing, when I was a teenager, I had such a feeling of overseas missional work. I don't know what that is. You have it or you don't, but it set itself in me. And I always had that sort of pull towards me. And then I thought, well, that's a done deal, right? Well, at 51, the feeling came back. I know. So at 16, I got it, and then went like, whoosh.
Yeah.
And then, kind of like Jonah, when you think about it.
Sure. Yeah, you
And then
ran as
far as I could man to the end of the earth, and then wound up on the same seashore. And then I just was sitting in church with my husband. We opened a program. It is just this simple. They said, come to an informational meeting, taking a team to India. And I pointed to it, and I said to my husband, I'm going on that trip. And he said, okay. And I went on it, and so it's how it started. I went 2007, so it's been this will be my 10th year anniversary for going. Mm-hmm. I didn't really. It was okay. I liked the people of India. It was more the people that actually went from the United States and stuff that I had. Was like, we can really mess things up. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yes. We can.
Yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
But it was okay. And then
here come the white people to save the day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have all this to teach you, and I was like, wow, I didn't really like that. And I struggled a little bit, and I was done. But the people of India, of course, I was, the poverty and everything was heartbreaking, and I was done. Clovis Hills said, hey, we'd like to send a team back in 2008, and you're the only one that really has been there that could probably do it. Would you do it? And so here I am, because if you ask me to do something, unless I have a really good reason to say no, I probably won't say no.
You should have never told me that. But anyways.
You already know it. But prayerfully consider at least, and God does not close those doors, man. And anyway, so I went, and then I learned how to lead a team, kind of. And then I went back the next year, did a big medical team, and then at the end of 2009, it was like, I need to be here more. And people living there invited me to come in the summer and work with the college kids, and I fell in love with them, and I went for a couple months in the heat, and I don't know, I fell in love with India, and it's been 10 years, and I have people that are like family to me there now. Mm-hmm. And, got to know the pastors over there, and we bring teams, do whatever they need us to do, and then it's just taken off from there. So
when you go, because one of the things that if you don't know, I actually went on a mission trip with Toni. We went to the Philippines, and it was a lot of fun, and got to do some cool stuff there. But we were on the bus or the van or whatever it was. We were driving somewhere. When you go on a mission trip, you drive a lot because you're seeing places and visiting churches and things like that. And you talked about, like, I spent years in therapy.
Oh yeah.
And tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars on therapists.
You could spend thousands of dollars, or you could just spend a few thousand and go on a mission.
Yeah, and go to somewhere like India and realize, oh, my life's not so bad.
Oh yeah, just get out of your comfort zone. Say yes to getting out of the comfort. God is more concerned with your character, and so if you just say yes to that, or have an open, willing mind, the stuff that He will show you will just blow you away. And so you going and caring for the poor and the broken, that's right,
actually healed you more.
Oh yeah.
Then and there's nothing wrong with going to a therapist. I'm a big fan of them, and the social sciences are great. But M. Scott Peck talked about it in The Road Less Traveled. He talked about how when you begin to serve people more broken than you, it heals you.
It has. And I was encouraged to speak my issues there, and they're prevalent. Alcohol's really a big deal in India, and I just learned to carry my story through a translator. Every corner of that place they would send me. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've talked it, and then it's just expanded, and we've grown, and now we have a pastor that, we've actually started an after-school program in the village he grew up, and Clovis Hills is just such an amazing church. People are and probably all the churches, people just want an opportunity to give to something. Mm-hmm. They just don't know what to give to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give to India, but I mean that when it's just it just makes your heart bigger. I don't even know how to explain it, but
so I'm very excited because in November I'm going to be going with you to India,
right? And
you're going to show me around there and introduce me to some people, and we're taking a team there. Yeah. Tell everyone about what you're going to be doing while you're in India, what the team's going to be doing.
Oh, wow. Well, we've this man that is our partner there, literally has just a heart for the kids that are on the streets living alone, the little 5-year-olds. And he has a house that that belonged to his father-in-law, and he turned it into an orphanage. And it's private, and he takes really good care of these kids. And so we've kind of latched onto that. So I'm taking a team, and 3 big, really neat construction guys from our church want to go work on that place. So they're going to go work on. But I'm also taking one of our really cool, children's ministry teachers.
Yeah.
Teacher Doug. And so he's not a construction guy. And then I'm taking, 3 women that, one's like on the SWAT team in Clovis. And I just have this, one's a dental hygienist. We've got this unbelievable group of people. So we're doing work inside we're going to redo this orphanage as much as we can. We're doing kids camps during the day. And we have a lot going on. We have our work cut out for us, but the opportunity we have to pour into that community, He just blew the doors off that.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing to do with it, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just the instrument, but he's doing the work. That's what I love it. It's not mine.
That's cool.
It's not mine.
So we're gonna go for one more break, and we're gonna come back, and I want to talk to you about something, just a cool concept that really I think transforms your life, and Toni's a living example of it. So this is Shawn Beaty Show with Clovis Hills Community Church. We'll see you in a minute. Hey, we're back for the last segment of the Shawn Beaty Show, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't have a name for it. So just driving here, I'm like, the Shawn Beaty Show. So, anyways, maybe we'll have a name for it eventually. We'll develop it, but we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants right now. And Toni, you brought up just really in your story. There's this beautiful picture. Henry Nouwen was he's one of my favorite writers, and he's dead. He's gone to be with the Lord. He was a Catholic priest, but he had a book called The Wounded Healer. And really that concept is, that Jesus, when we see Jesus one day, the Bible says that when he returns, you're still going to see his wounds. You'll always see his wounds. It'll remind you. And he's this wounded healer. And in the same way, when you come to God and you come to know Jesus and have a personal relationship with Jesus, you end up becoming a wounded healer. That God takes your wounds and turns around and uses them to heal other people, to bless other people. And the very things you went through as a child that were hard, the very things that you went through as an adult that were hard, the very things you put yourself through as an adult that were hard, all the wounds that were inflicted on you, whether they were self-inflicted or inflicted by someone else, Jesus always wants to undo those and recycle your pain. He won't take it away. It's there. It is what it is. It's your wounds. But they're not wounds anymore. They're just scars. And that's how you know a wound is healed, was when it's become a scar. And I want you to know, if you're watching right now and maybe you've never had a real relationship with God, maybe Jesus has just been kind of like something like you grew up with, or it's just kind of something you gave intellectual assent to, I want you to know that God is crazy about you. And he really does have a plan for your life. He has a destiny for your life. But he loves you so much, he's giving you a choice, whether you want to follow your own destiny or his. But I want you to know something. No matter what you've been through, if you will choose God's destiny for your life and you'll choose to follow God by faith, and you didn't know what it was going to look like, right?
No idea.
But you let go and you said, okay, God, what do you have for me?
Yeah.
And you stepped into it by faith. God's plan is always better than yours.
Always.
It always is. And the Bible says this, that as many as received him, to them he's given the right to become children of God. That if you'll receive Christ by faith and believe in his name, Jesus, that he died for your sins, he will give you the right to become one of his children, and he will begin to undo all your pain and recycle it to help other people and bless other people and be a blessing to the whole world. So I want to thank you for being on the show and coming and sharing your story. I told you we could have done 2 hours with your story. We might have to do a part 2. I've got 4 shows lined up, so we'll have to see. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Pastor Shawn Beaty. This is Toni Odonnell, and pastor at Clovis Hills Community Church. And hopefully we'll see you this Sunday or Saturday night, 6 o'clock, 9:30, and 10:40. God bless you guys. Go be to the church.